It's green for go. They're racing. He says go. He says ta-da. And Tiger Tara roars away from them on the home turn. Here comes another big boil over. Equine athleticism at its best. The king is in the castle once more. This is in one race. The rest are almost in another postcode. She is a star with a capital S. It's going to be a triple treat, a miracle three-peat. Ladies and gentlemen, you have witnessed history here at Menangle. What about that? It's getting right up on the sprint lane and it's going to bolt in.
Good morning. Welcome to another episode of the Sprint Lane Podcast. Paul Cochrane with you. I've got Jess Watkins, Freddie Hastings with me as always. G'day, team.
Hey, Paul. Hey, Fred.
Jess, Paul, another week rolls around.
Look at you two all resplendent in your pink. Great cause today, Jess. We're going to talk about it a little bit later in the show, but Pacing for Pink, high tea here. You've been at the forefront of organising that. Freddie, I know you've got a role as well. You both look amazing in your pink. I should have joined the party. Big day for a great cause, but also here at Club Menangle.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a fantastic charity cause that we get behind. Club Menangle does each year. And, of course, today, Pacing for Pink supporting the McGrath Foundation. So it's all about raising some more funds and awareness for breast cancer. And I think our total, we're already at 11,200 from success on the track. Of course, one meeting left to go in today's fundraiser. So he's hoping we can add a few more dollars.
Fantastic. Freddie, you'll be there passing on tips and sort of tales of your journey through the industry. That'll be, I know you'll be a little bit self-depreciating in your response here, but I think that's going to be that's going to be good for the patrons today.
Oh, thanks, Paul. Yeah, no, just hopefully can steer them into a winner or two. Last year, Jess invited me to share some tips, and I think my roughie ran a place at $4 a place, and of the two other ones, we had a winner and a third. So no pressure, just got to perform again today.
That's always good. Well, we've had a good week of racing, haven't we? It's the TAB Regional Championships have now been and gone, and a little bit of history made on Saturday night. We'll get into that, but I guess an overall snapshot of it. It was a really good, successful campaign, wasn't it? We saw across 4 regions and culminating in the state final here on Saturday night.
Yeah, we talk about the regional championships for the past few weeks on this show, and it just continues to deliver year in, year out. And, of course, it was no different this year. We saw that statistic that we talk so much about winning a region final and then coming into that state final. It hadn't been done before, but, of course, Gordons Bay and James Rattray, they were able to be the first ones to do it on Saturday night.
It's become one of my favourite racing carnivals, if you want to use that term, across the state. I mean, we get to see, people racing for big prize money in the regions, and then they get the thrill of coming to town and participating on the big stage, again for big money. You're right, Jess, no horse had done the big double until Saturday night, and it took a horse who I think is really going places, and we'll learn more about this horse very soon.
All right, well, I think you just mentioned James Rattray. Just so happens, here's something organised a little bit earlier. James is on the line with us. G'day, James.
G'day, guys.
G'day, congratulations. Hang on, we don't hand these out very often. There you go. Mate, hey, what a great fortnight you've had. I mean, it was really 7-8 days. You went back-to-back, winning the Metropolitan final and then coming out here and winning the state final on Saturday night.
Yeah, just a super couple of weeks. Horse race, great. Through the heat. Right through to the state final, and things went his way, and he showed what he could do.
Mate, we talked about it in the show last week. We said be wary of Gordons Bay. Freddie and Jess both said, the gate speed is phenomenal on this horse, but what we saw was phenomenal speed and acceleration at critical moments at both ends of the race on Saturday night. We saw it off the arm. You went bang and you got a lead, and you got prime position. And then when you called on Gordons Bay when it mattered in the home straight, you just went again, and you had so much horse under you. It must have been a hell of a thrill.
Yeah. He's possessed with a heap of gate speed, which helps him out, and he's managed to stack him up there a bit. And before the others made their move, he was able to kick clear and have a good break on him.
One thing I noticed when he came back into scale, James, was that his earplugs were still in. How much do you think there was still left in the locker?
Oh, I'm not sure. He ran to the line really good. It's probably the best he's done that, and he seems to be getting stronger with each prep. was just amazing the way he sort of finished off the other night after burning hard early.
He went through the entire series undefeated, as you mentioned. He won his heat, won his regional final, then the state final. James, I guess the best thing about this horse is seeing the results come to fruition after a lot of work that you had to do. Well documented. You had a few issues with him through his juvenile years, leg issues and the like, and you put in all that work. How does it feel when you can actually see a plan actually come off and all this hard work starting to reap benefits?
Yeah, he was up and ready to go early as a 2-year-old, and he's a very playful horse out in the paddock, and he kicked over a fence one day, and we had a fair setback then, but no major damage. It was just a time thing. Then a couple of other paddock issues, all self-inflicted, but nothing really major, but just a bit of time helped heal them, and it's amazing just to no issues of late, and to put it all together throughout this series.
James, I alluded to it just before, but it struck me just how the acceleration on your horse at the back end of the race, which is a very, very almost unusual trait. Particularly here at Menangle, Fred, we see horses, probably gas it a little bit towards the back end because it's a beast of a track. James, that did that surprise you in any way, or has that been something that you've worked towards to make sure that when it mattered most, you had another gear to go to?
Once he sort of got he burned hard off the arm, but he got it reasonably cheap through the last part of that lead time, and the first half it was very, very soft for him, and he's always got that fast sprint home. So once I got to the half in reasonable time, I thought we'd be able to finish
James.
off really good.
Yeah, 61 you got to the half, and it was mathematically nigh on impossible for those really behind you, knowing what you had up your sleeve, for them to catch you. It was a very nice rated drive by you, but I guess the fact that you copped no pressure in that middle part of the race, that certainly aided and abetted your chances. Yeah,
that's right. Once he got to back off there, and he was always going to sprint home really quick.
What happens to Gordon's Bay now, mate? Obviously, that was a tough campaign, highly successful, nice little boost to the bank balance. What happens now?
Yeah, he'll just have a light week, and we'll reassess and try and make a bit of a plan with him. Nothing really set in concrete, but it'd be nice if he could make it to free-for-all level throughout winter and just see how he measures up at that class, and hopefully we just keep stepping up and can look at better races later on.
Guys, I think one of the great stories about this year's regional championships is the ownership thread. The narrative that's gone not only with the success of the horse and the stable, but the owners have really rejoiced in victory throughout this series. And Fred, you caught up with some of the owners on the pace, didn't you? On the pace. I spoke to Bruce Hindmarsh, and Bruce told a great story of how he was involved in it with a horse with James, and the horse didn't measure up. And James got them into Gordon's Bay, Mark and Greg as well, the other co-owners, and they hadn't met each other. They weren't mates who just come together to get a horse. They were basically strangers to each other. James got them in as an ownership group together with Gordon's Bay, and Bruce was telling me they've certainly ridden the highs and the lows with this horse, but only his second horse, Bruce, I'm not sure about the other boys, but only his second horse in harness racing, and he's copped a horse that's been able to win two $100,000 races a week apart. What a great story, and again amplifies just what a great sport ours is, because at the end of the day, here's a bloke who thought, my one and only harness racing foray hasn't worked for me. James, to his credit, found them Gordon's Bay. I think he was a yearling, wasn't he, James, this bloke? You had him from a yearling? Yeah, we bought him as a yearling, Sydney sale. Yeah, and he's gone on to do this. James, that must bring you so much joy that you've delivered, further joy to someone else who they trusted you with your decision-making, your skill set, your incredible ability as a driver and a trainer. that must really, really make the moment even more special for you, I'd imagine.
Yeah, that's right. It's good when the clients trust you and trust your judgment when picking out yearlings or sending your horses. And sometimes it doesn't work, but when it does work, they're really appreciative of what you do for them. And it's just good to have a good bunch of guys in a horse like him.
All right, well, mate, I know it was an interrupted week for you with your family and stuff as well. So well done. I think you really deserved the victory. You had a great horse there. You prepped him to the minute, and I think you should sit back and absorb the moment. I think, James, because that was an incredible performance over a few weeks.
Yeah, thanks very much. We everyone's really excited. The family was there. Baby Estelle for the first time, so that was really great to have them there. All the owners. Great couple of weeks.
Fantastic. Well, well done again on behalf of all of us and everyone around the state. This is a concept which is fantastic. You created a little bit of history, we might add. You're the first driver, trainer, whatever we want, horse that has won one of the regional finals that's gone on to win the state final. So in the third edition, again, we didn't have one of the regional finalists go on and win the state final in the previous two iterations of it. So, yeah, a little bit of history there too, mate. I don't know if that was something that occurred to you, but a little bit of history made.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's always tough to back up from the 2300 and the trip, and the other guys were travelling from Riverina and Newcastle and everywhere, so it's sort of tough on all the horses, but it's great to back up and be able to do it again.
James, before we let you go, I saw my old mate London do a bricks racing today in the trot race, the foundation heat. How's he shaped up since his Derby performance?
Yeah, he's really good. Really happy with him. He's a progressive type. I think as time goes on, he will learn to handle his speed and be a really, really nice horse for us. But he's doing a great job now. But I just think he'll keep on improving and developing, and I think he'll run a good race today.
All right, good on you, James. We'll see you out at Tabcorp Park Menangle this afternoon.
Thanks very much.
All right. Gee, it was a serious performance, wasn't it? It was a great race. So much talk around Brooklyn Bridge, the Ellen Bartley Blake Jones horse, which turned in a really good performance. You know, there's nothing to be sneezed at, finishing third. Great performance from David Druitt and Oratoria. Yeah,
really impressive performance. I think he might be featuring in my Black Book segment later today. Not that I want to give it away.
Preemptor, yeah.
Spoiler alert. Just a great series. Continues to go from strength to strength. Well done to everyone who's been part of it. And, can't wait for this time next year again when we reflect on what will be, the 5th edition of the TAB Regional Championships.
Yep. No, and just on James, he sort of flies under the radar a bit, James.
Yeah.
He has a pretty strong team of horses, but one thing Bruce really went to great lengths to express was he is a real horseman, James. And I know it's in the genes, but he is just such a very good horseman and did so much work to get that horse, back to the races. As James said, they weren't career-threatening injuries, but they were just injuries that would mend with the passage of time, and that takes patience, and then that takes that skill set as a horseman to be patient and show patience. What was that great famous saying Bart Cummings once said? The cheapest thing in racing, but the least used, is patience.
Yeah.
And James certainly showed plenty of that, and he's a very good horseman.
Yep, well done, James. Hey, so we had a consolation final as well. Muscle Bart won that for Luke McCarthy. Gee, Artillery, Freddie, you used a line. Some drive that was the line you used from Chris Geary, and it was like it. I encourage people to go back and have a look at the performance of Artillery in what was apart from the state final and the consolation final. I guess the big race of the night.
Well, it was so much interest, wasn't there, Paul, with those big guns, Bondi and Better Zipper. Yeah.
And Artillery was sensational, but gee, given every chance with that drive from Chris Geary.
It was
unbelievable drive. And it was only sort of 2 weeks ago here, we were reflecting and we were saying there was a performance from Steph Morris to get
Timely Sovereign.
Timely Sovereign into the Metro final, and we said, well, there's your drive of the year. Gee, I tell you what, I think Chris Geary said hold my beer the other night.
Yeah, there's been a few in the like I mentioned Isabel Ross's drive on I Am the Captain in the regional final at Bathurst. I thought that was a stunning drive, but that was a perler from Chris. He saved all the ground. He had to. His run it could easily have gone pear-shaped if the horse outside the leader didn't just drop off enough, but he was then able to snag it to the outside of about time, and it was a ripper.
That horse was flying.
It was
150.4. Yeah. Let's not take anything away from the performance of Josh Gallagher and his horse
about time, yeah. And Mahomes, sorry, and we've got to mention Mahomes. I know he's one of your favourites on the show. He stormed home. He virtually followed the same path that Chris did, and he got up to run third. So I think the owners of Mahomes are going to have, that was his first run back, they're going to have a bit of fun this campaign too, I suspect.
Quick reflection on Bondi Lockdown?
I don't know what to make of his run, to be honest. Look, I've always subscribed to the theory, you always forgive a good horse a bad run. Trouble is, sometimes with Bondi, he can put in a few bad or good, he can be a little bit up and down, but I think he's just too good a horse. The run was, vet's examination, and Better Zipper didn't get into the race as well, but they're going to be, certainly Better Zipper will be better for that run since the Nullarbor, and Bondi Lockdown, well, he's Bondi Lockdown, you can't write him off.
He heads back around in the JD Watts Memorial this Saturday night as well.
Yeah, looking forward to
That's a good
that
race too, the JD.
Very nice race.
Been plenty of good racing during the week. Tintin Joe won the leadership pace for Cameron Hart and Jason Grimson on deadline. I know a couple of weeks ago, Freddie, you said, I can't wait to see on deadline be back at Menangle because it felt like that horse had gone to another level, turned up and really delivered. Paid $7 for Nathan Turnbull too. It was a good performance. It
was a real good run, and I guess the draw probably made his price a bit more appealing, but very, very talented horse and did everything he had to do. Don Hugo, Rocococo, the McCarthy pair were both very, very good. And I thought Il Bandito's run, it drew the pole and it stayed on for fourth. Nice horse in its own right.
Yep. Hey, great night for Olivia Frisbee and Michaela Barnes. One with Kingston Shannon at $61, their first Metro winner for each of them. The smile as broad as the nation itself. I'd love seeing that. Well, maybe something that we reflect on a little bit later in the show, I suspect, guys.
I think so.
Joshy Gallagher, what a week he had. Now, he had a double at Menangle on Tuesday. He went to Bathurst on Wednesday, had a double there. He had a winner at Penrith on Thursday. He had a treble at Newcastle on Friday. He had a winner at Goulburn on Sunday with Queen of Strathfield. What a week.
And he also brought up his 500th driving win on Queen of Strathfield at Goulburn as well. So a wonderful performance from Josh. And, of course, we know he's an Inter-Dominion winning reinsman and just all class.
I was at Goulburn. Swayze was really good. Looked like it was a great performance from Cameron Hart. Swayze looked gone, I must admit. It went around at $1.60. Elder Orlando really put the hammer down. Looked like Swayze was gone, and then just kicked back. I thought, I might have a good horse here.
I think
so won the feature at that was the Carnival Cup stay at Goulburn too. There was a Trotters feature before that. Will Rickson put on an absolute clinic, driving the best bourbon for Grant Forrest in a really good race there. And hey, Jackson just mentioned Jackson Painting. He had a good week. So he won at Wagga, and then he had a double at West Wyalong on Friday as well. So a good week for Jacko Painting, although I do know we won't see him for a few days now. So maybe a bit bittersweet for Jackson. Jess, brace yourself. See, she's ready now, Fred.
I'm prepared.
I know, you didn't even flinch.
No,
flinching.
I
just alluded to it. Best thing you saw this week, I suspect.
Oh, for me it was
circling back.
Look, we were pretty much on a tangent, to be fair to Jess. The smile and the joy that both Olivia and Michaela got with that horse winning on Saturday. I was watching as Olivia was bringing it back past the steward. Michaela was walking down the track, and she's like punching like it was. I thought I was watching
racing.
Pat Cash winning Wimbledon, doing the whole Agassi. She was so pumped, and a smile on their faces. Their maiden win, big hugs to each of them. After they when Olivia came back, big hug. It was just just what our sport's about. Just that passion and that moment. The moment.
Yep.
And mine was also on Saturday night in the state final. James, when we spoke to him earlier, he said that it was his daughter Estelle's first night on track, and she was with Mum Fiona, and she was wrapped up in a crocheted blanket that was actually in the same colours as James. James's racing colours, the red, blue, and white. So that was just adorable.
I wonder it won.
Yeah, definitely a good luck
red, white,
charm.
and blue.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Hey guys, I'm going to play a little bit of audio because we have had a massive announcement this morning. Let's see how this goes.
He is one of the biggest sports stars in the world. He's got over 6 million Instagram followers. He is UFC megastar Charles Oliveira. Oliveira has a burning passion for harness racing. 2 years ago, he set social media alight, beating Hall of Fame harness driver Tim Tetrick in an exhibition race in New York. Now he's after the Down Under crown when he takes on local superstar Luke McCarthy in an exhibition race on the night of the TAB Eureka. It's just part of his role as the ambassador for the world's richest race, the $2.1 million TAB Eureka at Menangle on September 2.
How about that, guys? 6.4 million Instagram followers, maybe just a few less than you.
It's a bit popular.
Yes, a little bit popular.
Well,
yes.
I can tell you that is a huge announcement. This guy is serious gravy around the world, and think about that South American foothold there that that the Eureka is now going to have tentacles into. This guy's big time right across North America as well, and then into the Asian footprint as well. This is a massive announcement. The man who's essentially put it together in conjunction with Harness Racing Australia and some of the stakeholders is Aaron Bain. Aaron, welcome to the show, mate.
Yeah, thanks for having us on. Exciting morning.
Absolutely exciting. How has this come about?
Yeah, it's obviously been a long time in the making and was part of our pitch as Aaron Bain Racing and Summit Bloodstock for our slot in the Eureka to sort of think outside the square a little bit and how do we broadcast our industry, but also this race to a wider community and getting that creative thinking, and that's certainly what we're about. And we reached out through different channels, and eventually we're here today to be able to announce Charles Oliveira coming to Australia, and even more exciting to be driving in a match race against Luke McCarthy on the night of the Eureka.
Isn't that going to be something to see? So let's just go back a step. So you've got it. So obviously with your involvement with Summit Bloodstock, you guys have got a slot in the Eureka.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, so we're one of 10 slot holders. Obviously, things starting to heat up. The 100-day countdown was earlier this week, so it's certainly nearing, and it's a game-changing race for the industry.
How do you even go about starting the negotiations with an icon of global sport in such an emerging brand as the UFC with Charles Oliveira?
Yeah, I think you pinch yourself to realise that we're able to announce it today, and you sort of go back and you put out a few leads, and we got in touch with an agency at the time, and then got put in the contract or the agreements ended up being directly with ourselves and Charles Oliveira's management team, and him and his management team. So to be able to work directly with his management team and himself personally, it's a big coup for us, but also, more importantly, our industry, and brings great exposure on a global level to Australian harness racing. And the agreement with Charles is actually not just the Eureka; it's post Eureka as well. He's going to be in the ownership of some horses with us, and we'll be rolling out different initiatives there to come race with us and Charles in Australia, and particularly New South Wales with two of the yearlings we've purchased out of the Sydney sales recently.
Isn't that exciting, Jess? So I guess, Jess, what we should point out is, some might say, well, how's cage fighting and harness racing linked? Well, there is an absolute link. This guy is ingrained in the industry, and he's where he is in Brazil. As Aaron just said, he drives, so he gets around in the gig, and he's going to come out here and show us what he's made of against our big man on the scene, Luke McCarthy. This is going to be fantastic.
That's right. And I know back in 2021, he travelled over to America to Yonkers Raceway, and he took on the likes of Tim Tetrick over there, and he managed to beat him. So no doubt there'll be a few supporters here wanting to see him upstage Luke on the night.
It's going to put the Eureka on the map, Freddie.
I think it's a huge coup for. I think, as Aaron said, the industry. Not just for the Summit Bloodstock team, but just for the industry. That kind of exposure. This sport or brand, the UFC, it is massive, and we've seen recently that New South Wales government have splashed out some cash to ensure that there's some UFC events held here in the state. So that shows just what exposure this sport has. You called it an emerging sport. Yeah. I kind of think it's found its place in the sporting landscape, and has a massive following. So hats off to the team there, Aaron. It's a huge coup for you.
Yeah, no, really excited, and it's about the industry as a whole, and bringing that exposure that we long awaited for. And I think that in conjunction with the Eureka, the two go hand in hand together. And we're breaking new ground. It's the world's richest harness race, and there's no better way than to have a global sporting star like himself. That's not just a sporting icon. He's got a passion for harness racing. And the two link very well. And as you said, touched on before, the UFC network and community is far broader than probably the harness racing community globally. And I think it's even more fitting that the UFC in Sydney, UFC main event 293 is actually 8 days later after the Eureka. So it couldn't have been more timely, and the two link really well together.
Are you a fan yourself of the UFC? Do you follow it closely? Obviously, to have such, I guess, tentacles into the sport to get access to Charles. I mean, but are you a ritual follower of the UFC?
Oh, not out and out like a bleed for it, you could say.
Yeah.
You'd probably like to have more time for the day-to-day operations of running a race stable and a national ownership business. But we certainly, when we get the occasion to watch it, but we've always followed Charles closely with that harness racing passion. So I think when you link a sport and icons with other sports, you sort of have you've got a favourite within the industry, and that being him. So he actually competes between now and coming over for the Eureka. So I know there'll be a lot of people tuned in for that. From Australia, see how he goes, and hopefully then back in line for a title fight.
Yeah, well done, Aaron. It's very exciting for our sport. And also on the Eureka race night, I noted that that they said he will be here for the week leading into Eureka. What events can we expect to see him at?
Yeah, so we've got plenty of announcements come over the coming weeks and months leading up to Eureka, and he'll fly in early that week. We're sort of just working out that at the moment, the travel plans, but he'll be at the barrier draw on the Tuesday. We're organising a UFC workshop on the Tuesday evening at sort of Wetherill Park, likely to be, just to sort of tap into that new market and link it with a sort of meet and greet opportunity for those markets, and then linking the Eureka with it. We've got the Breakfast with the Stars, which will be on the Friday morning. There'll be more on that. So he'll be there and probably, just getting his eye in. Yonkers, he won around, was a half-mile, 800-metre track. Menangle's 1,400, so he might get a little bit lost out there. Luke might give him the slip at the top of the lane and be off and gone. So might just want his eye in before Saturday night. But the big one for us, and what we're really, really looking forward to, aside from the night of the Eureka, is actually the Friday night. We're putting together with HRA, in conjunction with them, an industry party on the Sydney Harbour, which will be basically the marquee event of the week leading up to, and feature the Calcutta and the like, and be there for everyone to celebrate what the Eureka is about, but also come together as an industry and celebrate, and enjoy some time together, and what a special occasion leading 24 hours before the Eureka.
I think he's going to certainly get people coming through the gate. Hey, it just occurred to me, our top 10 in fantasy harness racing all get a VIP hospitality experience at the Eureka.
There you
Wouldn't
go.
they? Wouldn't all those people sitting at the top of the table now be going, "You're beauty,
beauty"? Yeah.
We better get him to the Friday night party.
Yeah. Hey, Aaron. So I'm just intrigued now. So Charles is going to take on Luke on the track. When does Luke get in the cage?
Actually, I was talking to Glenn Lee from TAB around that, and he said we could do one the other way the night or two before as a bit of a promo, But we haven't dropped that one on Luke yet. We might leave that till the week of,
I wouldn't say Luke's the softest of blokes, but he's not the biggest of blokes either. I would fear for him if we put him in the cage with the big unit.
I reckon Luke's a lover, not a fighter.
Hey, aren't we all?
Who would throw in? I mean, we see. Geez, I'd hate to see Cameron Hart or Jack Callaghan get in the cage. It'd be mincemeat, those boys. But, geez, I reckon someone like Grimo would hold himself up, right?
We could maybe include that as part of the Calcutta,
Yeah. Someone like Grimo or who else? Like Jared Alchin, I reckon.
I tell you who.
From comment.
I tell you who he was, a very good, I'm not talking different sport here, but Brad Abbott. I'm pretty sure he was. I don't know the correct sport if I say the kickboxing, or it might have been Muay Thai, one of those sort of. Right. He was a very, very good fighter. Totally different to UFC, and I think these days Brad is retired and more a lover, not a fighter, as Aaron said. Luke might be, but he was actually involved in that sort of, in his younger days, in that type of.
I can see David Watson out the window here. Maybe Wano could dust off the old rugby league kit and jump in. Aaron, well done, mate. This is a huge coup, as Freddie said, for the sport, for this brand new initiative in our industry, which is only going to go from strength to strength. This is massive. It's going to put us on the world radar with this event. Well done. You should be really proud of the work that you guys have put in to make this one happen.
No, I appreciate the opportunity to come on and chat about it. And, there'll be plenty of announcements coming out. If you jump on our website, there's a way to sign up just to sort of, there's a Eureka landing page on our website just to sort of get people's details and keep in touch with all these events that are coming up and opportunities to meet Charles while in Australia and get up and close and personal and be part of the Eureka.
Great. One last thing while I've got you, mate. A few slots are getting filled up, but yours hasn't yet. What's happening? What's doing?
We probably hold a bit of a key to the race now in a way. I think the 3 or 4 big guns are probably all but locked away, and I think with what's going on with the Queensland race series, the Tassie race series, and other bits and pieces, it's sort of we're down to probably one of the remaining tickets into the race, and we'll probably we have had negotiations along the way, some fruitful, some not fruitful, some still happening, but I think what we can say is we'll probably sit on our hands and let the Queensland Winter Carnival play out, the Rising Suns, the derbies and the like, and see if we can't add more of a 3-year-old flair to it. And I think what needs to be considered, that illustrious Barrier 1 still there available for anyone looking as well for a 3-year-old filly. Like the barrier draws very much play in the hands, and we probably have that deciding say of how that barrier draw shapes.
Well, there's probably no point jumping. Once Leap to Fame, Captain Ravishing, Catch a Wave, those horses sort of went, what's the point of really rushing in? You may as well just sort of see who's the form horse, and I guess that's probably the strategy for you guys now.
I think Aaron just touched on a strategy, the barrier draw component. That in itself is an interesting key.
It's going to be a really intriguing talking point for us, particularly through this show and different platforms.
I did say on Sky this morning, worst case, we'll just put our own horse up so a story and Charles can drive it himself. So,
and who would mess with him?
You want the lead? Yeah. You have the lead.
Yeah. Good on you, Aaron. Well done. Really successful day for not only our sport, but certainly you guys there at Summit Bloodstock. Well done, mate.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate the opportunity.
Good on you,
Thanks, Aaron.
What a great day for the sport, eh?
Oh, superb, and that sort of energy, Aaron, he just exudes that energy, doesn't he? And he's just so much passion there, and what a great day. We said coup, it's a coup. It's
Absolutely
great to have that sort of star.
Yep.
Very exciting for our sport, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Well, I just touched on it. Fantasy harness racing really is at the pointy end now. We're up to round 21. We only go to 25 rounds. So the 1st of July is when it all sort of comes together. The car's on the line. There are plenty of contenders, but geez, I reckon people will now be really wanting to zero in on a top 10 finish so they can get in to one of those VIP hospitality experiences, Jess.
Yeah, you definitely want to, wouldn't you, if you got the chance to come and meet Charles? And no doubt the competition will be heating up. There's a car on the line. Who wouldn't want to be driving around in
the
new
big
wheels?
Harvey Norman vouchers and that. And the great experience that you guys here at Club Menangle put on for people. So, so not long to go now, and there's still those weekly prizes to get stuck into. So, fantasy harness racing, a few weeks to go. It's starting to get really, really exciting there. New South Wales Bred Series this week, guys. So, we've got a couple of finals. There's some really good racing at Menangle this Saturday night, guys. You just touched on the JD Watts Memorial. That is a cracking race in itself. We've seen Artillery, how good Artillery went. We've got I Cast No Shadow, Spirit of St. Louis, Bondi Lockdown. Serious calibre.
That's a race. That is a race.
That's an incredible race.
Special mention as well to South Coast Arden there. I thought he went enormous at his first start here for Paul Fitzpatrick up at Bathurst. So I'm really excited to see him come back to that free-for-all grade here at Menangle.
We've got the 3-year-old New South Wales bred final. We've seen a number of these horses go through sort of the Gold Crown Series as well. So a little bit of form line. We've seen the qualifying take place all across New South Wales. So we've got the 3-year-olds, the 2-year-olds as well. We're going to see the future of. It's almost, we've alluded to this, it's almost like an appetizer, an entree in some ways to the Breeders' Challenge Series that we're going to get in a couple of months' time. Yeah,
that's right. I'm really excited to see these finals run. I think there could be some really talented horses that emerge from this and really make their mark ahead of that main series come later on, and also that Blue Series.
Okay. As I said, Saturday night's going to be a huge night. Really excited about the racing. You know, I guess a lot of people go, oh, gee, it all starts to migrate to Queensland a little bit. We've gone, hang on. We've still got some serious stuff going on here, don't we?
Yeah, we do, that's for sure. And Saturday night is a prime example of that.
Well, it all kicks off this afternoon. 8 races here today. Freddie, you're going to be a busy man.
Yeah, a bit going on. Got a few special guests coming to the box during the course of the afternoon, and popping into Jess's function for Pacing for Pink, the high tea, as well as calling. What do we got? 8 races. So, yeah, a bit going on.
Should be good. Young's on tonight.
Look, I'm not as young as I used to be, you know. Getting up those stairs is a bit of a worry.
Well, and I said we're young tonight. And
do you like that?
Link, the tenuous link.
I know. Yeah, segue.
Young harness racing is on tonight.
Thank you.
Bathurst on Wednesday. Tamworth and Penrith on Thursday. Wagga, Parkes and Newcastle on Friday. We end up at Newcastle and Canberra on Monday. So a big week of racing. And high calibre racing. That's the other thing to point out, you know, that we just keep continuing to deliver great horses, great people, great participants, and a spectacle for everyone, whether you're here on track or you are tuning in on whatever platform on your TV or your tablets or whatever, Jess.
Yeah, that's exactly right. There's great racing coming up all across the state, and it's always action-packed here in New South Wales. There's plenty of races to keep your eyes on and plenty of winners to be found as well.
Absolutely. All right.
Another beautiful segue. Plenty of winners to be found. Did you hear that?
How'd you go?
Yes, there's not plenty of winners to be found in my Black Book segment.
Your Black Book's got empty pages.
Yes. How are we tracking? Or have we already sort of sealed that one off, Jess?
I think that was you just got burned.
No, we're not talking. Is, Jess, you mightn't have handed out a winner, but you're about to hand out a winner.
Exactly right.
So we can look at it that way.
Glass half full, definitely.
What do you got? What's on the radar?
Yeah, so Saturday night from the state final here, Oratoria for David Druitt. It is quite Riverina form because it comes from the Riverina region.
Hashtag,
even though it was here at Menangle, but I thought it savaged the line in that final there to when it was only 12 metres to Gordon's Bay. So I'll be following Oratoria.
That was a good drive too by David Druitt. Away from the pegs. I'm going with Debo. I thought its first up run was pretty good. He's a horse who's got a terrible draw on Thursday at Penrith, barrier 6, but I think he's got the capacity to run a good race against that field. He did trial here in an official qualifying trial on Saturday night behind What's Up Party Time, so he's had another bit of a hit out, if you like, a few days after his first up run, and I think Debo can run a race at Penrith on Thursday night.
Fantastic. All right, a little bit of housekeeping, Pacing for Pink this afternoon. We're going to get a good crowd. It's a beautiful day here at Menangle too. It's got that nice crisp sort of feel in the air. It's sunshine. It's going to be fantastic and good racing for people to see. But no doubt the bubbles will be flowing.
Yes, they definitely will. Complimentary to every guest on arrival. So
does that include the person coming up to give the tips?
Will you call better if you have a glass?
Some would say yes.
But no, we've also got Cassie Fahey emceeing the afternoon from Sky Racing, and Britt Graham's our guest speaker talking about her career in harness racing and her role in the media as well. So that'll be really exciting too.
Harness Breeders, we touched on this last week, Freddie.
Yeah, we mentioned it last week, and they've got a race that's come together on Thursday. It's the first race at Penrith, Harness Breeders Ladyship Bonanza. $1,000 in cash and $1,000 breeding certificate goes to the winner if the horse is owned by a member of the Harness Breeders. So make sure you join that organisation. They do a great job. They stump up. The cash is stumped up by them as a extra bit of incentive to race in that race, and they've got a field of 9. No doubt in the passage of time there'll be they'll put other races on. They do a good job doing that and promoting that side of the industry. So that's Thursday, $1,000 cash and $1,000 in breeders certificate going the way of the winner if they're owned by a member of the harness breeders.
Fantastic. Always great stuff going on in the harness racing industry, particularly here in New South Wales on what is a landmark day for our sport globally, really. And the spotlight of all the eyeballs around the world will well and truly be on right here, Tabcorp Park Menangle, and particularly on Eureka night in early September. So well done to everyone involved in delivering Charles Oliveira as the ambassador for the Eureka, which is coming up. Should be fantastic. Guys, have a great day.
You too.
Good luck today, Jess. I know you put a lot of work into this, and it'll go really well. You did a great job last year, and I'm sure this year is going to be even better.
Thank you very much.
The weather gods are smiling on you, so that is a good thing. Go well, Freddie. You're busy. So Freddie and I, when we walked in, he said, I've got people coming in to watch me call a race. I'm going into the Pacing for Pink. I've got the races. I've got the podcast today. Busy man today.
Very busy.
Just gives me a reason to go home and have a glass of red when I get home.
Yes. So everyone tuning in, thanks for giving up your time to hear what's going on in harness racing here in New South Wales on the live stream. If you're listening on the podcast, we really do appreciate it. If you can give us a like, share, follow, a review, if it's kind, that would be fantastic. Most of all, word on the street is fantastic when it comes to podcasts. Just tell everyone about the Sprint Lane, and we'll continue to grow. Until we see you next week, have a great week. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Bye.